Thanks, Sophie. Hello there. It's Friday. Let's wrap up the week together, shall we? Welcome to Look North. A BBC investigation finds leasehold charges have shot up, leaving people on the property ladder struggling to sell their homes.
I just feel like you're writing a bit of a blank checkbook and there's just no regulation of what they can charge.
We'll look at some changes promised by the government which might help. Also coming up tonight, as a 5-week partial shutdown of Huddersfield station comes to an end, we've been up on the roof to see how improvements are coming along. A hospice in York now has 4 cuddle beds after a £60,000 fundraising campaign. And we're in Barnsley as the glassworks are illuminated for the festive season.
So this weekend we see the transition between the cold air and much milder conditions, and in that process there will be some snow for some of us. Join me later in the programme to find out more.
Hello there, nice to see you. Residents in West Yorkshire have told the BBC they are unable to sell their flats due to increasing service charges. With house prices rising, for many, getting a leasehold on a flat can be the very first rung on the all-important property ladder. But as well as the mortgage to pay, most flats come with something called a service charge, which covers things like insurance, maintenance and repairs. But a BBC investigation has found that these charges have absolutely skyrocketed in recent years. So, what exactly is a leasehold? Well, it means that you own the property for a certain amount of time, but not the land it's on. It most commonly applies to flats, but some houses are also leasehold. Let's take a look at the numbers. Latest data shows that over 5 years, the number of leaseholds has gone from 4.2 million in 2017-18 up to 4.7 million just a couple of years ago. And that means in Yorkshire and the Humber, leasehold properties now make up a whopping 15.7% of all housing. It's estimated that service charges have to be paid by leaseholders have risen by 30% since 2019. So in our region, in pounds, shilling and pence, that would mean someone paying £2,247 on average, and that's just for a 2-bedroom property. Some residents have told the BBC they are being absolutely crippled by these rising costs. With tonight's special investigation, Michelle Lyons.
Mike and Grace Wood recently moved into their new home in Horsforth with 15-month-old daughter Sienna. But what should have been a time of great excitement and joy has been marred with the financial burden of their first flat.
We've had the flat for 6 years. From 2018 to now, the service charges have gone from 2,000 per year to over 5,300 was at the last one that we got, which was 2023.
I just feel like you're writing a bit of a blank checkbook and there's just no regulation of what they can charge. There's no holding to account, and I think as a leaseholder that's where we just feel absolutely helpless.
The couple are now renting the flat out at a loss, and they say they've seen little return for the rising costs.
When we first bought the property, the management company was saying that they were going to do a full renovation. 6 years later, nothing's ever happened. I actually took the paintbrush out and decorated the whole of the corridor and the common areas around our flat so that it looked a little bit more respectable.
And for Grace, it's been a huge emotional strain, which has really affected her experience as a new mum.
You know, it should have been a really exciting time for us moving into a family home, and unfortunately that's just been hugely impacted by the, well, A, stress, and B, financial burden of having to have the upkeep of the flat still and the unknown costs that are to come with that.
To add to Mike and Grace's concerns, the building the flat is in also has safety issues, which were highlighted in the wake of the Grenfell Tower disaster, and leaseholders are still waiting for those to be addressed. We contacted the owners, Grey GR, and they said new legislation allows them to charge the ongoing service charge costs of living in a safe building back to the leaseholder, who will be liable to pay for those costs through their service charge, which have ultimately resulted in the service charge budgets changing and increasing. It's a similar story across the region, where leaseholders are seeing huge hikes in their service charges. John Barney bought a flat in Halifax 20 years ago as an investment. His service charges have gone up 5-fold since he bought it, yet the value of the flat has plummeted.
It's just basically been a slow, niggling pain in the side, just chipping away at us. And I'm part of the leaseholders group. Everybody feels the same way. It's a millstone around everybody's neck. Just can't get rid of. We're caught in a trap.
Like Mike and Grace, John says he can't see where the extra money he pays is being spent.
Why are we spending $8,000 a year on repairing the lift every year? We could have bought a new lift by now. There's no breakdown of these costs.
Premier Estates, the company which manages John's flat, says new building safety requirements, the cost of living and energy crisis and the impact of the pandemic have all contributed to soaring costs. And for leaseholders like John, Mike and Grace, these extra funds they're having to find are crippling them financially.
It's an absolutely huge financial burden and stress. It does keep us awake at night.
We dread when you get any update from the management company of just what those costs are going to look like.
Michelle Lyons, BBC Look North.
Now, in response to the BBC's investigation into leaseholds, the government have set out plans for significant changes to the system. Yesterday, they announced plans to publish a bill introducing a common hold system in which residents own the land beneath their building. The new bill is expected in the second half of next year. Earlier today, I spoke to Sebastian O'Kelly from the charity Leasehold Knowledge Partnership to find out what that could mean for residents in future.
Well, in time, they'll make a considerable difference because it will end the leasehold system, which is deemed to be feudal, and the government is now intending to ban leasehold properties. So it'll be a huge difference for people who live in leasehold flats and houses.
So it sounds like plenty of hope on the horizon, but are you seeing a lot of these cases where leasehold charges are shooting up at almost an uncontrolled rate?
Yes, because leaseholders are completely disempowered. The service charge is whatever your landlord decides to charge. And when it comes to the cost of living crisis, there seems to be the burden of this falls on the people who have to do the paying and who are disempowered to challenge those costs rather than to the person who receives the money.
And that's how people are getting trapped, it would appear, in flats or houses that they cannot sell. So ahead of the change of the law, is there anything those people can do? Is there any immediate hope?
Well, you do have the remedy of going to court, but you will not get your legal costs if you do so. So if you spend £5,000 on a lawyer, you will not get that money back, even if your case is watertight and you win. But the landlord will always get his legal costs in any dispute with you under the lease. So there's no balance, an equality of arms in leasehold disputes. It's deeply unfair legal system here in the leasehold disputes.
What's the timetable for the government changes? How long will leaseholders have to sit it out?
Well, there'll be a number of substantive reforms going through next year, starting in January, and primary legislation to introduce common hold, which will replace leasehold, at the end of next year.
Sebastian, thank you very much indeed for your time on Look North tonight. You're watching Friday's Look North. Still ahead on tonight's programme, saving a spectacular building in Otley for the community, but only if they can raise £1 million against the clock. But first, a 10-year-old girl from Moulton who was attacked by her family's XL bully dog died as a result of neck injuries, an inquest has heard. Savannah Bentham was fatally injured by the pet at her home in a static caravan in the village of East Heslington in North Yorkshire. Our reporter Beth Parsons has been following the story and joins me now. Beth, remind us what's happened at the start of the inquest.
So North Yorkshire Police were called originally to the family home in Moulton by the ambulance service about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday the 1st of November. sadly, despite the work of medical professionals and a member of public who was passing by, Savannah actually died at the scene. Now, today in Northallerton Coroner's Court, we heard that she sustained fatal injuries to the neck after she was attacked by the dog. In a statement immediately after the incident, Savannah's family said they were utterly shocked and devastated, and that they couldn't believe they had lost a wonderful girl who they loved so much.
What do we know about the dog itself?
Yeah, so North Yorkshire Police actually investigated why the dog attacked Savannah, and they've suggested it was out of character. The dog was neutered and it had been with the family as a family pet for 4 years. Now, it was an XL bully, which is a breed that has been in the news a lot over the last year because it became part of the Dangerous Dogs Act. So at the end of December last year, it became illegal to sell, give away, abandon or breed from an XL bully. And then in February this year, it became a criminal offence to own an XL bully without an exemption certificate. The dog that we're talking about today, that XL bully, had the necessary certification. So following the fatal attack, the dog was put down by a vet.
Beth, thank you very much indeed. That inquest has been opened and has now been adjourned. Now, here are some other headlines coming into the Look North newsroom. A former police officer who had sex with a vulnerable domestic abuse victim, whose complaints he had been asked to investigate, has been jailed. Declan Middleton from Keighley had recently joined West Yorkshire Police after completing his training when he first had contact with the woman during the COVID lockdown. Middleton was found guilty last month of 2 counts of misconduct in public office. Today he was jailed for 2 years. A teenager is being treated in hospital for life-threatening injuries after she fell into a road and was hit by a car in Calderdale. West Yorkshire Police said the girl collapsed into the road and was hit by a black Tesla Model Y car. It happened on Rochdale Road in Greetland yesterday morning. Police have appealed for witnesses to contact them. Bus fares in West Yorkshire are expected to rise by 50p from April. Passengers will continue to pay the reduced £2 rate until the spring, when it's proposed they will increase to £2.50. The change will be confirmed by the Combined Authority at a meeting next month. Nationally, fares are expected to rise to £3 from April, but in West Yorkshire, the cap will be subsidised by the Mayor's office. Let's stay with transport. If you have travelled on the railway between Leeds, Huddersfield and Manchester over the last 5 weeks, commiserations. You'll have had to endure slower trains or the dreaded replacement bus service. Now, trains are getting back to normal this weekend, but don't breathe a sigh of relief just yet, because there is more disruption on the horizon as a result of one of the country's biggest engineering projects, the Trans-Pennine Upgrade. Electrification is being promised, as is a huge rebuild of Huddersfield Station, and that's where our transport correspondent Spencer Stokes has visited today.
Huddersfield Station was once described as a stately home with trains in it. There have been fewer trains over the last month, and there'll be more disruption at various points in the years ahead as platforms and tracks are rebuilt and the 1847 station roof is restored.
It can't be underestimated the amount of construction work that we've got going on between now, but even more so to come. So at the moment, currently at Huddersfield Station itself, you can see that we've started working on the roof itself. We'll be remodelling the entire line that goes through here, including expansion to 4 through lines, longer platforms for up to 200 metre longer trains in the future, which will enhance many people's journeys across the north.
Plans to upgrade this line were first revealed 13 years ago. It was put on hold before becoming a flagship project, winning political backing from both parties.
This is one of the biggest infrastructure projects in the north of England. The government has committed more than £11 billion to the scheme. The work at Huddersfield Station alone costing £70 million. But it is a long, slow process.
Huddersfield Station should be finished within 5 years, but the 70 miles of upgrades and electrification from York to Manchester will take 15 years.
Steelwork repairs.
Engineers dressed in high-vis jackets will be a regular sight until the late 2030s.
Why does it take so long to complete that work?
Yeah, we can appreciate people might think it takes a long period of time. It is equivalent to, as we say, open heart surgery. We are working on a live railway and we have to balance the safe working environment but alongside people's continuation of journeys and getting to work and leisure.
When the line is rebuilt, the Leeds-Manchester journey time will be cut to 40 minutes. That's welcomed by the train operator, TransPennine Express.
My goodness, when it's finished, when you walk into a station and it's actually a station that your community deserves, which is what I think Huddersfield will be through the improvements to the roof. There'll be light, there'll be coverage. It's phenomenal for TransPennine passengers.
A fast intercity standard electric railway is promised, and for Huddersfield, a striking new station interior to match its stately facade. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North, Huddersfield.
And there will be plenty more chances for Spence to get his full orange high-vis jacket on as we cover that story. Now, a hospice in York now has 4 so-called cuddle beds thanks to a fundraising campaign led by a widow whose husband died from a brain tumour. Louise Ryan lost her husband Nick just over a year ago. With her family, she's raised almost £60,000 for the beds at St Leonard's Hospice. Nathan Turvey has been speaking to some of those who have benefited from them.
We know we're not going to be here for long together. So to have the time together
means a lot, doesn't it?
It means a lot to us both.
Darren has terminal cancer and has been staying at St Leonard's Hospice in York.
If we didn't have the bed, we'd have just been at home. Nicky being upstairs and me being downstairs.
While having end-of-life care, Darren and his partner Nicky have been able to use a cuddle bed.
It takes away a lot of your life, illness, a lot of your togetherness, I suppose. And
we haven't used it as much as we could have done, have we?
No.
You know, because Nicky has kids at home, she has to go home to. But we've used it more and more. It's a fantastic idea.
The beds cost £15,000 each and can be widened to allow partners and other family members to lie beside their loved ones. A widow from York and her family raised almost £60,000 that's paid for them.
They really look good. They do.
Louise Ryan wishes she could have cuddled her husband Nick properly before he died from a cancerous brain tumour just over a year ago.
I knew it would be worthwhile, but it's just so worthwhile to see firsthand somebody experiencing what I would have loved to experience. And I'm so happy that we could help them. Have your lunch first. This extending out and making into a double has allowed us to have like date nights and movie nights and share takeaways and actually cuddle up together, which is one of the things we miss more than anything.
We all relish the ability to nestle on a sofa or have a hug with family members when you feel poorly, and this is essentially achieving that for our patients at a point when it's really imperative. But of course it also allows for patients who, because of their disease, might have more pain and need more space in their beds.
It's just absolutely amazing what she's done to give people a life back. Even if it's only a few months' life, it's unbelievable.
Nathan Turvey, BBC Look North, York.
A really bittersweet story. Our best wishes to all our friends at St Leonard's Hospice in York. From one fundraising campaign to another, residents of Otley are in a race against time to save an iconic building for the community. The magnificent Methodist church has seen countless weddings, socials, scout and brownie meetings, and even badminton tournaments over the years. And now there is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to buy it for everyone to use in future. But a deadline is looming to raise the cash, as Kathy Killick reports.
Right in the heart of the market town of Otley, there stands not one, but 2 huge connected Methodist halls. The original church was built in 1875 and the Wesley Hall next door followed in 1905. Inside, the beautiful interiors are still in good repair and the entire complex is up for sale.
Unfortunately, our church congregation is not as big as it was. The costs are escalating for us. So We wanted to bestow it to the town, the community, so that the building continues to live and be used by the community.
Local campaigners are now fundraising like mad to buy the church and repurpose it as a community hub.
Well, there is still a badminton club on a Monday night.
Yeah,
Monday night. Yeah.
I'd rather be doing that.
They've raised $500,000 already, but need around 200,000 more by the end of December, so time is running out.
We've done a number of different events where we've basically opened the building up and, shown people what we want the building to become. Our next event will be on the 30th of November, where, again, we want to return the building to be open, and we're just inviting everybody in.
The plans for the building are ambitious, with space for co-working, a community cafe and a large music and events venue. Once the building is bought, it'll be eligible for lottery and heritage grants to help make the vision a reality.
This building is an awe-inspiring building that was funded by people in the community donating money to build it. It's been used for many different purposes, celebrations, sporting, educational uses for all this time, and we want to continue being able to use this for those reasons. It's also the last remaining large civic building in town, and we want to maintain it and not let it get derelict.
2 more fundraising events are on the cards, and the campaigners have set up a website for donations. They just need everyone behind them for the final push.
I'd love it if everyone in Otley could donate a little or invest in this building, because this will be useful for you and your families for years and years to come.
Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Otley.
Thank you, Kathy. Now, it is that time of year as light shows brighten up the cold, dark and dreary November nights. Recently, we have featured illuminations in York, Leeds, Harrogate and Bradford. Tonight, it is the turn of South Yorkshire's very own Barnsley, and a giant projection will be lighting up the Glassworks Square in the town centre, with live performances from the Barnsley Singers. There is also a light art trail with installations around the town. All this is promised. Our resident sparkly fairy to sit on top of the tree is Phil Bodmer. He's there now.
Oh, you're too kind, Tom. Thank you. Yes, welcome to Barnsley. Welcome to Bright Nights. Bayek, they know how to put on a good show in this town, don't they? Just have a look at this. This is absolutely, truly awesome. And just look at that projection there on that screen, the Christmas tree, the lights here. This is a festive feeling like no other. And of course, we've got the seasonal weather too as well. Let's talk to John Finch from Barnsley Council. John, what's the idea behind Bright Nights? Because you've got thousands here tonight.
We have. This is Barnsley's family-friendly, free, fantastic light festival, celebrating all that's good about Barnsley, artworks across the town centre, Phil.
It really is very creative. Tell me about the Barnsley Carol, because that is the centrepiece of this, isn't it?
It is wonderful heritage. So in 1933, Arthur Godfrey wrote this carol, the Christmas Eve, but then it was lost for 90 years until the archives team rediscovered it last year, and then we reanimated it, brought it back to life, performed it in the town hall. It got huge amounts of plaudits, international coverage, and so we wanted to celebrate it this year.
Well, you're doing that in true style, John. It's good to see you. Thank you for letting us come down today. Well, putting something like this on is quite a spectacle and quite a complicated task as well. Let's talk to Rob Vale. Rob, you're from Illuminous. You're the brains behind this. How long does it take to get this concept to reality?
Yeah, it takes a long time to animate each little element and to go into the story, and we wanted to kind of celebrate who Arthur was a little bit, that he was a bottle maker, he lived in the town and that he had this sort of big family, and so we wanted to experiment with how we could turn that into a narrative around imagining him making this carol for Barnsley, which is so exciting.
And when you see all these people out enjoying this spectacle, how does it feel to you? It must be immensely satisfying.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely to go from that small little screen where you're animating away something vast and sort of celebratory, where everybody can have this one moment and really celebrate the town and the festive time of year.
Well done, it looks really good. There is, by the way, I should tell you, an illuminated trail at various installations through the town. Tomorrow night there is a parade through town as well, which is well worth seeing, I'm told. And of course, the best thing of all, Tom, it's absolutely free. So if you're in South Yorkshire and fancy a visit to Barnsley Town Centre, come and enjoy. Back to you.
Thank you very much indeed. It looked like you were about to get mobbed by a woman in a giant bell dress there. I know a cracking coffee shop afterwards as well. Now, finally, the cold weather might mean disruption and discomfort for many of us, but we have been sent a little bit of footage of this little creature who is definitely enjoying the snow. Do have a look at this. This is a fox filmed on Tuesday night in Halifax by wildlife enthusiast Steve Midgley, having a whale of a time by the look of it, jumping about in the snow on his car and nearly slipping away there. Incredible. Bothered in the night, Keely, by unusual nocturnal creatures at all in the
Only
snow?
my cats, who absolutely do not
No.
like the snow.
So you've been trying to get them out of the cat flap this week?
Well,
and...
I kept them in this morning because they would have gone on absolutely all fours, I think. It was so slippery out there this morning, but it has been a nice day, and we're going to see a transition to something milder.
I was going to say, is that it now?
Yeah, a lot of weather before we get to the milder air, though.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll tell you about Storm Bert in a minute, but let's just enjoy some of these snow pictures, because I think this will be the last time that we show them. Next week there won't be any snow at all on the ground. And temperatures today have been a little bit higher. We got up to, we can show the second picture, we got up to just over 5 degrees. By this time tomorrow, we could be at around 11 degrees. So you can keep your pictures coming in to the Weather Watchers page. We're on social media as well, on Instagram, Keely.Donovan. So we're going to see a transition from the cold air to the milder air. And as that transition takes place, we are going to have some snow in places. We are looking at the risk of significant accumulations over higher ground. There could even be a covering of snow at some lower levels. Very windy as well, widespread gales, the risk of severe gales along the coastline. This is all happening on Saturday morning. But with those strong winds blowing the snow around, there could be some blizzard-like conditions, particularly up over the tops, and really poor visibility out there as well. It's all down to this Storm Bert, the second named storm of the season, introducing milder Atlantic air. By Sunday, temperatures could be at around 15 degrees, but still very windy Sunday into Monday. We've had a few wintry showers about today down the coast and across the Pennines and the Peak District, and there are a few snow showers, a few wintry showers out there at the moment. There's also a frost. We've seen temperatures drop like a stone. It's going to be the coldest of the night out there at the moment, so a cold and frosty evening, a widespread frost, but those temperatures will creep up ever so slightly overnight as we see that cloud moving in, the rain moving in, turning readily to snow in places into tomorrow morning. Overnight lows, as I say, the lowest through this evening. By dawn will be at around 1 or 2 degrees. Let's have a quick look at those high water times then, just gone at 10 o'clock in Scarborough and Filey. So poor visibility, very windy, a spell of snow for some, turning back to rain for the afternoon. Those gales slowly easing down. There will still be heavy rain returning at times through the course of the afternoon. Take a look at these temperatures later on Saturday, 11 or 12 degrees. If you think that's mild, 15 degrees to come through the afternoon on Sunday. Windy into Monday, Tom.
I can't believe that. Guess who has got the Saturday reporting shift tomorrow?
Who could it be?
Right, I feel a headache coming on. Will you sign my sick note, please?
Absolutely.
My mother says I must be excused because of the weather. Thank you so much for your company. I'll be back for the late shift from your afternoon team. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.